Here we go again, right? Monday. Good to see you all again. But, coming off a tough loss. Again, put it to rest last night, again with our kids. And 2 in a row. Got a little losing streak going. And, really our message to our kids were, it was obviously a good football team, so give Notre Dame credit. We obviously didn't play as good as we needed to. Obviously got to clean things up. But, again, really good football team. And we got 3 ACC games left, and that's really where our focus is. And we kind of mentioned it going into the game that, hey, this is a big game. But remember, we got, they're not part of the conference, so let's turn it loose and, and play loose and go. But, again, give them credit. But we're focused on Duke, and, again, another great football team, very solid. I mean, Coach Cutcliffe is a heck of a football coach. Again, really got him playing well. Probably didn't play as well as Coach Cut wants him last week. But we know that's a good North Carolina team. We've seen it as well. They rush for a lot of yards, pass for a lot of yards, and again, they're very good on offense and defense. So, our kids got to play a lot better than we played last week to go on the road and beat Duke. So, questions?
Their defense has sort of been a strength for them most of the year, and then they gave up 66 on Saturday. What can you sort of say about that side of the ball that you've seen?
Yeah, I know what North Carolina's got, and it's a big rivalry for them. And I haven't watched that, entire game, and I've watched some cut-ups of it, and again, just like I would do, they got some guys out of place, and they make you do some things that you don't want to do. They're not easy to defend. They got speed at every position, and that's why they're undefeated in the conference right now, and in the top whatever. I don't know where they are, but they're a good football team, so it doesn't surprise me.
Some of the things that you might have picked up on film that we don't notice during the game, the defensive line, what are some of the small things you think can be adjusted?
So you're saying the little things that we see on tape that maybe you don't see?
You
got an hour? You got an hour? There's all kinds of stuff. I mean, some of the footwork is just not where it needs to be. Some of the little checks that the guys are making and aren't getting them. But just looking at the D-line footwork, sometimes we may go on what we call a take move, where a D-line is going to go from this gap to that gap. He's supposed to take a nice short step because they're moving towards him, and you take too big of a step and you go 2 gaps, it becomes a problem. Okay, you got 2 open gaps. So, there's little things like that we got to clean up, and again, I could just go on and on, but that's one of them, and just your pure footwork. Some of the zone plays, our defensive ends are working out instead of in. Maybe good for pass rush, but not necessarily for the run. Okay, we must stop the run first. So just, I guess, more footwork, leverage. If I had to give you a few things without, getting into, a coaching clinic here, but just playing with more leverage and being firm at the point of attack. I mean, there's some, doing our stunts correctly. I mean, again, there's, I can be nitpicky and go crazy in there. You get me fired up.
Were those things happening?
Go ahead.
When you have those things, how challenging is it in season to correct those?
Well, it's not. It just comes down to fundamentals. It's you can do them right in game days or in practice days, and then go on to the game and just things happen. All of a sudden, they get a run on you, and sometimes you see it, guys, where they're trying to overcompensate. It's alignments, and it's all the little things that guys got to do right, and they're still learning. Man, it takes a while to get everybody on the same page. And I'm talking, coaches and players. I mean, there's some still little things that I think our guys are still trying to figure out, because every week you can have, all these different defenses, and as simple as we think we are, there's a bunch of different offensive formations, backfield sets, and ways of blocking you that they have, and you got to adjust them all. And you don't have much time either. They line up, and Duke will be probably maybe a little bit faster than what North Carolina was. North Carolina was a fast tempo offense coming in to our game, really slowed it down and looked a lot to the sideline to get themselves in a good call. And Duke has shown some pretty rapid, snaps. I'm talking once the play's over, snapping that ball somewhere between 8 and 12 seconds as well. So they've got some, you can watch it if you put on enough tape and watch when the chain gang hasn't set the chains yet and they're running a play and they don't have the chain set, you're seeing a fast tempo offense. So Duke has really speeded it up. Hope that answered.
When you talk about those little things versus the run, though, were your guys doing them early in the season? I mean, those first 5 games where you seem to be
different offenses, really. I mean, I think different offenses are going to scheme you a little bit different way, but I would say against Virginia Tech, we did do some of those things. But, as the season goes on, guys got to pay attention more to it. And there's always things that people are going to see on tape and say, hey, let's do this, let's do that. But, some of the little things that got us at Syracuse didn't get us. That becomes another problem, But that's the way of football. I mean, that's not something that just happened here. You see that every year, everywhere you've been, where someone's trying to take advantage of this. They see that. But, we corrected some of the Syracuse things, and then something else comes up. But it's all based on the people, too. I mean, it's all based on who that tight end is, who that back is, where they like to wind the zone back, whatever it may be, is what you're trying to do.
These last 2 games against top 25, top 20 teams are sort of measuring stick games for where you want this program to be eventually.
No doubt about it. I mean, I think I told you last week, we'll find out if we measure up. And obviously we don't, and you see some deficiencies and spots that we need to get better at, and we'll address that in recruiting. I mean, you just watch Jordan Whitehead go make some plays, and I don't know if I said it in here last week, but we watched the highlight tape of some of the great plays that Pitt's had against Notre Dame through the years, and the thing I kept seeing is tailbacks making plays and making people miss. And that's what you have to do. You have to have a guy back there making playmakers. And then when you watch what Jordan did in there, just, not obviously some of the power game that he's got, but some of the speed and ability just to hit a small hole and get vertical and get in the end zone. I mean, those are things we need. But, can't wear Jordan out because he's a defensive player that has a lot of talent. But, you definitely see it as a measuring stick, yes.
Would you ever consider a full-time move to offense for him?
No.
Just this year or long-term, you think he's 4-year defensive?
I think he's a great player on defense, too. I mean, golly, he makes a ton of plays over there. And, if we don't have him back there, I wonder what the yardage looks like, and the points look like. So, I mean, he's a guy that I think we can do a little bit of both and or a lot of defense and a little bit of offense. And because I still got a lot of faith in Quadri and those guys to go get the tough yards. So it's a change-up.
Can you talk about the evolution of getting him to that point where you're able to get him some snaps on offense against Notre Dame?
We made an emphasis last week. Obviously, I did. I said, Coach Shane, you got him. He's like, huh? I do? Really? But he's been begging for him, and early in the season, just couldn't afford to do it. He had so much he needed to learn on defense. But I think at this point, I think he knows what he's doing on defense. He got a pretty good grasp of what he has to do back there. So I mean, we had some reps of it in camp where we put him in there, and so it's been a slow process. But again, focusing on getting him good at one thing, and then instead of watering it down to the point where he doesn't do anything well. And I think that's the key.
You've talked about limiting the amount of contact that Tyler Boyd gets. Whitehead is making 10, 15 tackles a game, and now he's going to have additional exposure on offense. Is that a concern for you?
It is. But, I think a safety's a little bit different guy than a receiver. Safeties are contact players anyway, and not to say receivers are, not contact guys, but they block a little bit, but they don't come down and smack you in the hole. And, Jordan had a couple of nice tackles on Saturday, but he's a physical player compared to a receiver. So, I mean, he's more like a tailback safety as opposed to, I'd say Boyd is more of a, wide receiver / corner type athlete. Different animal, I'd say.
And you've made some progress, since December, here. Do you think you'd be judged on these last 3 games, and is that right or fair if that's how you're going to be judged?
Well, we're going to get judged on every game we come out, and, and ultimately you're going to be judged on the last game you have. So is it fair? I mean, you guys can judge any way you want. I mean, we've got to internally look at where we are, what we did, how we did it, and did we get better, and then move on to the next process. So, we evaluate ourselves every day. We evaluate ourselves every Sunday when we sit in a staff meeting, figure out, hey, where are we? What are we doing? What can we do better to get there? So, to me, you're going to be judged on the last 3 games, no question about it. But, that's the nature of the beast, I guess.
About the deficiencies.
I'm about right in the middle. I'm not pleased. I'll never be pleased unless we're undefeated at the end of the season, but I'll never be pleased. But I can't say I'm disappointed because our kids play their tails off and they never quit. So I'd be disappointed if they shut it down. But, they showed, all the way to the end. I'm watching it near the end. Our guys are continue to play, and I think a couple of our guys got tired on defense at times with the tackling, and I put that on us as coaches that we got to sub them out and get a fresher guy in there. It's on us. I mean, and our kids they got too much pride that they don't want to tap out and say, Coach, I need a blow. They just want to tough it out, which, I told them last night, that's not smart to do that. You get exhausted. You play your tail off for 5 or 6 plays, and you need a blow. Get out of there. We'll get another guy can come in. And I think that becomes a mistake, that they're trying to be tough guys, which is what we're trying to preach and get. But you also got to be smart guys, too. You have to be smart knowing that, hey, I think that guy that backs me up can come in and give more than I'm giving right now. And I saw that show up. And guys trying to, we're talking about getting turnovers. Guys trying to rake turnovers out and all that, and looking sloppy doing it.
If you have to be a guy like Jordan, you might be using him more offensively.
Got to be worried about it. And again, did you say we're using him more? If we do, yeah. I mean, you got to be, wary of what you're doing with that guy. But we got Reggie Mitchell back there, back now, so that gives us a little bit of help, and Pat Amara. So we got some guys that can step in and do some things.
Amara and Mitchell are all listed as the other safety, but can those guys cross train over to strong safety?
No,
is there one that's better at it than others?
I think they're all about the same. I think probably Pat Amara would be the guy that played a little bit of both, and Reggie would move back into the field spot. But we'll see how it practices this week.
Pat, you talked about the deficiencies that you'll try to address. Obviously, Notre Dame's had some speed guys. They're faster than you guys. North Carolina showed some of that. When you don't have that, over the next 3 games. So how do you sort of try to address those deficiencies between now and then, so you can get the guys in here that can?
Well, I think we'll hold on. Again, you go back and watch the tape, like I have, and you watch. I don't know if you guys noticed this. We put Avonte Maddox on their best receiver, and Avonte usually plays to the boundary. We put him to the field, which is where Will lined up most of the time, and we put Lafayette into the boundary, and really had it was a good matchup. It was smart for us to do. But even when you watch the plays, Avonte got beat on, and again, I'd do it all over again. I wouldn't change a thing. I'd put him because I got a lot of faith in him. But just got to play a better technique. Will Fuller, smart football player and a very good football player. I'm talking blocking wise too. You see some of the little things he does, even in his block. He's a complete guy because he finishes blocks too. When you watch him run down the field side by side, I don't think I saw Avonte not being right where he needs to be. But we got to win more at the line of scrimmage and play with a little bit better technique. Don't open up the gate. At times he just said, "Here you go, run up the field," and you can't do that. But he was able to catch up to him and get on his hip. But technique is where it comes. And obviously we'll worry about those deficiencies in recruiting. But I don't feel like we have a deficiency any week we go out. We're going to try to get our matchups, and we got to make plays. And it comes down to making plays, guys. As you watch the tape, offensively and defensively. I think we had 6 or 7 drops on offense. And defensively, we got guys that are in position to make plays. Whether Avonte has that ball or not in the end zone, he came off the field and says, "Coach, I had that ball," on the fade. He's right there. But does he make it or not? I think he called a touchdown before they could see who had the ball. You got to make plays out there, whether it's a tackle, a sack, which we did make some, hits on the quarterback, didn't hit him as hard as you'd like to. But we did make a few plays, but we missed a lot. And, our job as coaches, they run a screen to Will Fuller, and we got guys right there, got to make a play. It's not like you're going, where is everybody at? We got guys there that need to finish the play and make it. And again, sometimes that's easier said than done when you got, an athlete like him.
Duke's got a couple pretty good guys who can run the ball, their quarterback included. What are your early impressions of their running game?
Yeah, Duke's got a great running game. Up front, they're physical. They play with good technique and leverage. They're well coached. Coach Latina, I think, has got the O-line and run game coordinator, and they've been doing it for a while. Their staff has been, they got continuity on the staff, and they know what they're doing. Very similar to North Carolina. They're very similar to Notre Dame type run game. Obviously different guys running and blocking and different quarterback, but they like to run the football with what they've seen on tape. They're going to continue to like to run the football from the tape I've seen. And our guys are going to have to step up and do things. You got to clean up the details, and that's the great thing about coming back. We're going to see really 3 weeks in a row the same type of spread offense, tight end in the backfield, lining up in trips, lining up in 2x2s. where a guy's going to have opportunities to do the same thing over and fix the problems we had. That's why it's so critical. We spent probably an hour and a half to 2 hours just watching tape, of the previous game just to clean up the problems we had so they understand. So, watching that tape and clean up the last game is important.
Was there ever a point where all of that cleaning up previous games can interfere with preparation?
No. The cleaning up is preparation for the next game, without a doubt. I mean, there's, no. I mean, it was a preparation on a Thursday game. If we had a Thursday game, we wouldn't watch that, but there's no better tool than watching game tape. None.
What was your, I know you said Water sort of struggled in the pass blocking 2 weeks ago against North Carolina. Do you see any improvement?
When I say struggled, you miss something and there's disguises and, it ain't easy, there's nothing easy. But he missed a couple protection. We're always going to identify whose guy was it. And so what was your question?
I was going to say, did that improve this week against Notre Dame? Do you feel like you have a complete running back, or are you sort of mixing and matching based on?
I think we're mixing and matching what each guy does and trying to get guys on the field, and they all can do it all. I mean, they can do it all, but is it as good as you need to be? We'll find out in the next 3 weeks. I think they've all gotten better. I can tell you that. Chris James has gotten better. Quadri's gotten better. Darren hasn't had as many reps. Maybe he's hit a little bit of the wall here late in the year. We'll be okay.
You see the offense struggling to move the ball in the first half, especially with the drops. Is there anything in the middle of the game that you can do at that point, or are you just going to have to
slap on the butt and say, get it going, let's go, make a play? I don't know. Just got to stay with them. It's game day, and it happens. You start to, JP right on the sideline. I saw him, ready to catch that thing and turns his head trying to, he's trying to make a play. But you got to, catch it first before you turn up the field. So there's, one over the middle is a tough catch for JP. So, I mean, there's, but you got to make those plays in big games. You got to make them in every game, but especially in those big ones.
Nate's performance overall?
Overall, when you look at it, he wasn't as accurate as he's been. He could have put some balls in better spots. I've said all along, what's the difference? He's really been, accurate. He wasn't as accurate Saturday as he's shown. So, that was part of it. If he puts it out a little bit more in front of him here or there, or a little lower there, probably have a little bit more success. But, nobody's perfect.
Pat, are you pleased with the emotional response from your guys and not letting 2 weeks that didn't go the way you want sort of snowball into something?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll find out tomorrow morning when they get up and get ready for practice to see what the mentality is. But they were good in the weight room yesterday, and I think they know they got 3 guaranteed games left, take them one at a time.
Any timeline on Scarpinado's injury?
No, not really. I hope so. Kyrie? I hope so. Not a doctor.
Terrence Webb, did he finish the game on Saturday?
I think he did, yeah. He's dinged up, but it's game of football. This time of year, guys, everybody's banged up. You see guys crawl to the sideline and, Rob and Tim will tape them up and they go back out and get some more. I mean, nobody's healthy this time of year. Nobody at Duke and nobody here, that's for sure. So.
You know about Scarpinado's injury early enough to get Taleni and Moody, those guys, some more work last week?
Yeah, we did.
How did they perform?
Okay. Just okay.
Do you think that they're going to get more reps going forward? Now that it looks like that depth is going to be needed.
Yeah, they will if depth is needed. We'll find out. This week.
It's not a breaking
Last
story.
one.
It's not a breaking story that
You see what he said? Last one. I'll give you 2 more. Hey, heck with EJ, I'll give you 2 more.
I got one.
Yeah, 3. Because we got no players here that got class. Go ahead.
It's not breaking news. You coach with a lot of passion and you're very active down your sideline. Is Coach Andrews your personal get-back coach?
He is my person. He's got my back. My wife said, I'm glad Coach Andrews is next to you when you're talking to those people out there on the field. I'm glad he's standing next to you to make sure you're safe. So he's like my bodyguard, I guess. He likes doing that, I think.
Do you find yourself a little more involved now in the game than you were before? Last year.
Well, yeah. If you're on the sideline for 4 quarters, you're more involved in the game itself. But when you're in a box, you're kind of in a bubble up there. I used to always try to open the windows so we had some coaches that would get cold late in November and they wanted the windows closed. I'm like, we got to get involved. Open up the windows. I don't care if it's 10 degrees out, but I get to be out in the weather now.
You can tell yourself, Pat, take it easy.
Yeah, oh yeah. Sometimes. No, it's one guy. One guy asks the questions. I mean, sometimes, yeah. If I don't have a heart attack.
I'm done.
Okay, 2 more.
Coach, Juan Price, a redshirt senior. Nice to see him have a big game, but been through injuries and stuff like that. What does a guy like that mean to a program? Players that like that redshirt seniors that have been through.
I mean, it's important to me. I talked last night. These guys are seniors, sit in the front rows here. And, seniors got to play great in their senior year, and see Juan step up and make a few plays. Like I said after, I kind of knew it from watching him in the game because I'll stand down when I'm being cool, and I'll go stand down at the end and just kind of watch. See what, try to evaluate and watch things I think are important when I see a formation pop up. So I know there was saying, I didn't have to watch the tape because I was watching individuals based on a backfield set or formation to see how they were doing or how they were aligning. And there's some, things. I mean, he hasn't played for 2 years, and there's some things he needs to still clean up, but he does a lot of, big things. Gets to the quarterback at times. Sometimes he's not supposed to be as quick as he is because he's doing other stuff that we don't want him to do. But, he makes plays. It's important. He's a Woodland Hills guy. That hasn't had a lot of opportunities through his career here, and we're affording him that opportunity. And I think he's having fun. He's always got a smile on his face.
Will you indulge
Which question is this?
This is the last one. This is
I'll give you one more. Then we're done.
Maybe this will take you off so much you'll just shut it down. Now, I'm curious from a nerd standpoint.
Losses. Don't take me off on Monday.
I was curious as the decision to go for 2 late after that last touchdown, instead of keeping it 11 where you've got some wiggle room with the field goal. Some miracle scenario. I got a point chart I can share with you right afterwards. I'll have EJ bring it down if you want to see one. But the point chart says go for 2, and I think it was an 11-point game at the time, right? No, it was 12.
12-point game, and you want to get it to 2 scores, field goal and a touchdown, and that's what you go with. I mean, it was it wasn't even a question whether you go for 2 or not.
Well, it's still a kick, a touchdown, a 2, and a kick. If you just kick there, if you make it 11,
you kick it, it's an 11-point game, right? So it's a touchdown and a field goal, unless you're going for 2 again later on, right?
We got to pull at some point. I mean, it's like I don't know. When I play, I'm only a good coach on Madden, so I'm not a coach in real life. Yeah. So on Madden, I kick there. So
tell you what, if you play that enough, you could probably get pretty good. I don't know.
My 6-year-old beats me.
Yeah, mine used to too. You got a job. So what's the question?
I'm saying the chart said to go for 2 there.
Yeah.
Is that, okay.
For sure, 100%. Yeah.
I just wanted to know if you
Because it's risky when you go for 2 at the end. I mean, it's just a. Go ahead. Sorry.
Price, have you explored all the opportunity to get him a 6th year next year?
If he wants one, yeah, we've talked about it. Yeah, and again, you don't do it until after the season's over, but we'll try to.
You guys would obviously want him back.
Yeah, and I think he wants to come. He's told me he'd like to come back, but that means he gets to sit in the front row 2 years in a row. So we'll see how that goes. I told him if he doesn't start playing with good technique, maybe we don't want him coming back.
The co-defensive lineman of the week in the ACC, and Jordan Whitehead is the rookie of the week in the ACC. Thank you all.
Anybody got anything else? I'm just kidding.